So, electronic goods like phones and laptops have become an integral part of our lives, but a lot of them contain toxic chemicals, which, if not disposed of properly, damages the environment and human health. Also, e-waste contains precious metals like copper, tin, gold, silver, and platinum. But did you know that $10 billion worth of these precious metals are dumped each year in e-waste? Also, the level of recycling is not keeping up with the amount of e-waste that we are generating, which is rising three times faster than the world's population. So today we have DB Prabhu, fondly known as Prabhu, who is the founder and CEO of Respose India, whose recycling arm is tackling the e-waste problem in India. Thanks a lot for joining us today, Prabhu.
Oh, my pleasure, Naman. Yeah.
So Respose India, as we know, is a big entity. Apart from solving, the problem of e-waste, we are tackling plastic, municipal waste, and other products as well. But for this episode, we'll start off, or we'll keep it to just e-waste.
Yeah.
But we before we deep dive into things, we would love to know how it all started way back in December 2009.
It didn't really start in December 2009. It had been brewing in my mind for at least about 5 years before that. I was basically seeking something more meaningful. So I did a lot of reading, a lot of deep thinking, and from those days of meditation, if we may call it that, uh, I got convinced that there are only three things that really matter to the existence of humans. You know, breathable air, potable water, and edible food. That's it. Okay. Now, this is not very profound. It definitely doesn't sound very profound, but consider it. And the only way we can guarantee the uninterrupted supply of these three things is by keeping their original source pristine. And that is exactly what we as people, the entire community, are not doing. Our models of industry and economic growth are all flawed. Every single business in this world consumes the resources offered by planet Earth, right? And if it doesn't generate at least the same amount that it consumes, according to me, it's a loss making enterprise, even if it is profitable in books. Consider this: the wealth that is accumulated at the top of the value chain actually gets amassed by snatching it from the lower part of the chain. This is fictitious profit. Collectively, we are all incurring a loss. Hmm. And that is the origin of the whole Respose initiative. We believe that holistic welfare of the world lies in creating an economic system based on environment centered businesses. Some people may recognize this as a variant of Neo Gandhian economics. And that's how it all started. So if we had to create an environment centric businesses, we need to enable them, right? And we focused on waste management because back then it was, and I think even today it is one of the most ignored sector, right? So that's the thought behind it.
Thanks a lot for sharing it. Love the alternate view that you have on the balance sheet. Yeah. So thanks for sharing that. So we keep I'll switch things a bit here, and come to the e-waste problem. So we keep reading about the gravity of the e-waste problem, but as you are so deeply involved in the industry, what's your take on this problem?
Gravity of the situation that you most of us are aware of is through reading in newspapers and media
Right.
channels like this. Now, generally, we may be reading something like the world generated more than 50 million tons of e-waste in 2019, or in the last 5 years, it has grown at the rate of 21%. Now, these are facts. These are actual official numbers, but they don't really mean much to the common man, right? So let me bring some relevance to those numbers. Look at it like this. Out of all e-waste generated in the world, less than 20% is collected and recycled. Like you rightly said, that $10 billion is being dumped. Okay? The $10 billion is only 20% is collected and recycled, 80% of this is being dumped. So what it means is less than 10 million tons was collected and recycled in 2019, if we take that number of 50 million tons. Right? So let's keep it at 10 million tons for the sake of mathematical ease. Right? Now, within this 10 million tons, 70% is recycled in the informal sector. And that means the poor, uneducated, destitute workers in India, a bunch of African countries like Ghana, Nigeria, Congo, Sierra Leone, Eastern countries like Philippines, Indonesia, even China for that matter, and a few others. Now, these countries are the one who take the entire brunt of this informal recycling of 7 million tons. And when I say that, the brunt of informal recycling, it means every 1 ton of e-waste processed informally generates CO2 equivalent emissions of something like 1.5 tons. So if you consider 7 million tons, it's about 10 million tons of toxic emissions are let loose in the atmosphere when just about 15% of the Earth's e-waste is recycled in the informal sector. Now, another thing, what's happening to the remaining 85%? 5% gets recycled formally. So that's the good part of it. Environmental impact is negligible. The remaining 80%, which you said was dumped in terms of $10 billion, it's not only that, but it's a time bomb ticking away. It's slowly poisoning our land, air, and water resources by leaching out stuff like arsenic, lead, mercury, beryllium, so on and so forth, vanadium. There are more than 60 different elements used in different types of electronics. And these will take a few thousand years to deplete or degenerate. And within that few thousand years, the e-waste pile will keep growing higher and higher and higher, right? The gap, like you mentioned, is growing at 3 times the rate of population. But uh, if you look at it purely from an e-waste perspective, the gap between the generation and the rate of growth of the formal sector is something like 700%. Now, this means for every 1 ton of recycling capacity created, there are 7 tons of new e-waste generated. That is the enormity of the problem.
All of us read about it and probably don't understand those terms in billion tons and $1 billion and million tons and $1 million. But thanks for breaking it down. I think uh, this is a huge gap. I mean, I have read about it, I have researched about it, I have written about it, but I didn't know that this gap was so huge. So thanks for highlighting that. So how are you solving this problem at Respose?
We hold a strong faith in fundamental goodness of human nature. No one has the intention to pollute. That's what we believe in. The people in this industry need to have access to affordable and dependable technology, and that needs to be right sized and modular so that they can start small and grow big. Now, we can't sell them large scale machines and build monolithic recycling factories. Right? we have to look at distributed, decentralized models. And that's what we are doing. Our job is to help create recycling facilities. For that, we make and provide environment friendly machinery with pollution control equipment. We also provide all sorts of assistance in the pre-revenue stage, startup stage, growth stage. And that includes consulting, both mechanical and digital technologies, marketing services, shop floor services, financial services, so on. So we are striving to create more formal sector recyclers. I would say more formal sector, small scale recyclers spread across the country because, like I said, monolithic enterprise will not work in this particular case.
Right.
So far, we have helped in setting up 24 recycling facilities in India with a combined capacity of 56,000 tons annually. Um, we have consulted about 100 plus recyclers in India and abroad for making their processes better and greener. So that's what we are trying to do to from our side to tackle this issue.
And Prabhu, so what have like, you are operating in India where you mentioned there's a big informal sector, which is catering to the e-waste needs. What have some of your biggest challenges been, in setting up and running rescos in a country like India?
Competition. Competition is the biggest challenge, but not
That's
from
a good thing.
other machine manufacturers.
Okay.
It's from the mindset. Sometimes when you try to change certain things, all the environmental variables associated with that particular thing tend to oppose you. That's called inertia to change. We have tried working with many informal sector people. Uh, some have shown the willingness to change. Some have actually changed. Out of the 24 installations that we have, a couple of them are people who have moved from informal to formal. So I won't say that it's not happening, but the pace is very low. So that is a challenge. The convincing process is a long process, and often things done half-heartedly do not really work very well in the end.
Right.
Uh, but it seems we don't have a choice. We are set to usher in a change in the industry. And it will always be difficult to bring in change at this kind of scale for just one company. So now we are looking at a little different strategy also, where we are trying to create fresh enviropreneurs. Ideally, the first generation entrepreneurs with a burning desire to do something worthwhile and leave behind a legacy to follow. Right? In the process, build some real decent wealth and create social value. Every new small scale e-waste recycling startup would mean about 20 new jobs and more as they grow. Each new startup would mean about 1,000 tons of additional recycling capacity, which is reduction in about 1,500 tons of emissions per year. It means recovery of about 350 tons of metals, which translates to 5,000 tons lesser mining, that much less deforestation, that much less transportation. And each unit of metal recovered from recycling is at least 400% more energy efficient as compared to the traditional ore refining process. That is the impact. And this is the impact that keeps driving us against all the odds. So we are pushing for that change. So,
Okay. But how exactly are you going about these enviropreneurs thing? Like how are you finding these people and mentoring them?
one of the things is like I'm conducting a workshop this weekend, this Friday and Saturday, I'm conducting a workshop for people who want to get into the e-waste industry, and it's called Mining Green Gold. In fact, I'm starting that as a series. Mining Green Gold would be a series of workshops where we'll take one by one different types of wastes, and how do you mine wealth out of that, real wealth. I'm not talking about that negative social value thing. Creating real wealth with a positive social value. That's what we are trying to do. And this kind of people who come in, some of them get convinced, some of them don't get convinced, some of them have the money, some of them don't have the money. But more important, I mean, money can always be arranged. More important is their desire. If they have a real burning desire, things can happen. In fact, I did one similar event in last December, uh, and we had about 17 participants out there, out of which three are progressing. So I think I'm happy with that. Three people, if they really get into it, we are talking about 3,000 tons more and all the maths I told you, how it works out. That is one way. And of course, other social media marketing, digital marketing, people like you help us to spread the word. So that's how we are
That's a
trying
great
to.
initiative. Yeah, I mean that's a great initiative to um, find out and then mentor that first generation of entrepreneurs who want to create wealth while doing social media. Lastly, Prabhu, so I want to understand what lies ahead for the e-waste wing of Respose India. Like, what are your plans in the next 6 to 8 months, and then on a longer term, let's say 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Given the current conditions of COVID and all, 6 to 8 months is like a too short a window. But we are working at the back end to develop new technology which will be cheaper, better, and profitable for our recycler community. More profitable, I would say. It's already profitable. We want to increase that. That can definitely happen in 6 to 8 months. And if it does, that will bring in a bigger pace in the desired change. So that can happen. Another thing, like I said, is this 6 to 8 months is we are thinking of launching a official school of entrepreneurship, and this will perhaps accelerate the process. Um, as I said, we are conducting a workshop, so anybody watching this video, if they wish to register, they can go to resposeindia.com slash webinar hyphen mining hyphen green hyphen gold. And on that landing page, they would see the details of the webinar and a registration link. Uh, but this we are trying to do along with some other people also. Like you can't do everything on your own, right? We believe, like I said, we believe in collaboration and symbiotic relationships. So I'm in advanced level talks with somebody where we will be collaborating to create this school of entrepreneurship, and this could see the light of the day in about 6 to 8 months. Sure. On the business front, on the next long-term front, rather, see, we are a clean tech company, so we set impact targets. Our target for 2025 uh, is we want to prevent 1 million tons of emissions. But that includes other business lines also. Specifically for e-waste, it would be more about something in the region of 400,000 tons. So far, we have reached 86,000. So where to go?
Yeah, I think you're on the right track then. Yeah.
Yeah, at least we are on track. We need to move a little faster and more efficiently if that's possible.
Well, thanks a lot, Prabhu. I mean, first of all, for breaking down the information regarding e-waste into simple numbers which people like us can understand who are not really involved in the industry. Thanks a lot for doing that, and the amazing work that you have been doing relentlessly for more than a decade. Love the vision that you have set with the company, and you know the enviropreneurs thing. That's a really amazing initiative where you know that you can't really, as a business, you can't really do everything on your own, and you need to create those next set of entrepreneurs who would want to definitely create wealth, but while doing social good. So love that. Thanks a lot again for joining us today and sharing all those insights.
My pleasure. My pleasure.